Can you state your full name?
My name, yeah, Edgar. They call me Eddie Guaraldi.
And where did you grow up?
Growing up down the east side in Brockton, Skinner Street.
How many siblings did you have?
I had 2 sisters and a brother.
And were you drafted into the Army or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
And you had a brother who served too?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Yobar, but they call him Bert.
And did he enlist or get drafted?
I don't know if he was, I think he was drafted.
So did he join first?
No, second.
Second.
Yeah, I think he enlisted about a year after I went in. I went in March '43.
And where did you do your basic training?
Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
Oh, I know a few people that went there, yeah? Mm-hmm. Was it there they told you were going to be a combat engineer?
No, that was the funny part of it. Well, I enlisted I wanted to go in the Air Corps. So I passed the exam, but somehow or other, a whole group of us, we didn't know where we were going to go, but they put us in these trucks, and they took us out, drove for 2 days, and come to find out we ended up in Camp Shelby, Mississippi, and this colonel was named Jeffrey. He made us into a combat engineer, and we were there for 6 months, and we did all our basic training there, and then from there we went to Camp Miles Standish, which is out here in Taunton, and from there we boarded a boat and went out. Took us about 6, 7, 8 days to get to Southampton, England. And then we did a lot of our basic training there.
And remind me again, which engineer battalion did you belong to?
296 Engineer Combat Battalion.
How long were you guys in England for?
I would say, guessing, probably around 6 or 7 months. Then we were training for invasion.
And what beach did you guys land on when you went to France?
We landed on Omaha, a tough beach.
What month did you guys land there? Was it June, July?
Yeah, it was June. I think it was when we landed, they were about a mile in. So we were pretty fortunate.
Wow.
I think we landed, I think we got in about the second wave.
On June 6th?
A little further into June the 6th. When we get in, they were at about a mile or 2 miles up.
So maybe like the next day, maybe?
Yeah.
D-Day plus 2, 3?
Yeah.
Wow. What was your job? What did you have to do in Normandy?
I was the radio operator, and I occasionally would drive the Colonel Jeffrey around. Him and I got along pretty good.
What was the Normandy countryside like? I would imagine there was a lot of devastation and...
Oh yeah, it was pretty tough.
Was this, did you had seen any German soldiers at this point in Normandy?
Once we get in there, about a mile up, we start seeing them. And
were they prisoners or?
Oh yeah, most of them were all prisoners, because most of them were up further, and they had these big long hedges, head edges that they hid in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the hedgerows. Yeah.
Hedgerows. Yeah. So they were pretty hard to see them.
I've been told combat engineers are responsible for building bridges.
Yeah, we built platoon bridges, and we would what do they call it? These mines, we would disassemble the mines. And I was charged when we weren't up front to take care of all the lumber and whatnot for the pontoon bridges. So, but I spent a lot of time with the colonel up front, on the front lines, because he wanted to go up there and see what was going on.
Yeah. Did your engineer battalion take any casualties in Normandy?
Yeah, we lost, I think, 19 men.
Really? What were they primarily getting killed from? Was it mines or artillery?
Mostly a lot of mines, a lot of what do they call artillery?
Yeah, the German 88s, right?
Yeah, and we had a lot of casualties with these buzz bombs, the V1s, and we weren't afraid of them because once they came over us, and you heard them, they were past you, you know. Yeah, and we had problems with the our artillery. We had a lot of friendly fire, and it was pretty tough. They landed, the planes came over and let the what do they call it? The smoke coming down, and the winds would blow the smoke into where we were, and a lot of the boys got hit.
I think there was a really bad one that was with the 30th Infantry Division in Normandy area.
Yeah.
And I believe it was a bunch of B-17s that had bombed their own guys.
Yeah.
Lost a few hundred men.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that might be one of the incidents you're speaking of. Yeah. Was there a particular division that you guys were always supporting? Was it like...
Yeah. When they needed us, the division, the second division, I think.
Yeah, second, yep.
Second, they called up for the engineers, and I'll tell you, the Germans were afraid of us. They hated the engineers, because my friends, we were crazy. I was only 18. You know, when you're crazy, you're nuts, you go crazy, you know. You're trying to pinhole, you know. And now let me tell you a little story. On March, we were getting ready to go on the invasion. My engineers were picked to hit the beach in Normandy. So we got on our barges, and we were ready to go out, but the weather was so bad that they stalled off until another day. So we were getting ready to the following day, and they come running down and took us off of the barges and put another outfit in front of us to go, because we didn't go for a few days later. But the winds were so rough. But that's it.
So in Normandy, this is the first time you experience combat. You hear enemy artillery. Did you guys move into northern France from there?
Yeah, in fact, can I get something for you?
Sure.
I wish my brother was living, and he could tell you stories.
Yeah, I want to hear more about your brother. I'm
boy.
done hearing your story. So you guys moved. You were supporting the 2nd Infantry Division through Normandy, and I guess, unless you have anything more to share about France,
we went through Cologne, and that was flat out. There was not a building when we went through there. And then from there we went to, Buchenwald, and that was a terrible place where you saw all the dead people. Rough.
Before that, were you involved in the Battle of the Bulge?
Yeah, we were in the Battle of Bulge.
So what was Belgium like?
A regular, normal city.
Yeah.
But
do you remember where you were?
We're in Bouillon. Yeah, I showed Marie. We were up in a big building, was it, Marie?
They have a memorial there, you know, where they put all the names of everybody from the state that died, all the different states, you know, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, right in Bastogne, that area?
Yeah.
And he showed me, and he told him.
So
he told me how the battle went on.
Yeah, I would imagine, let me bring up the weather, right?
Terrible. Yeah. And it was cold. Oh, so cold. And if it wasn't for, what's his name? The general.
McAuliffe?
No, the one with the tanks. Patton. If it wasn't but Patton coming in, boy, a bit rough. And it was so bad, the planes couldn't even fly over us because they didn't know where the heck we were, you know what I mean?
Were you still helping the 2nd Infantry Division during the Battle of the Bulge? Were you still attached to them?
No, we weren't. They only took us when they really needed us, you know.
During the Battle of the Bulge, did you see a lot of men in your engineer battalion get frostbite or get evacuated?
Oh yeah, a lot of them got frostbite. You couldn't take your shoes off because it was so cold and wet because it was raining a lot, you know. You get frostbite and whatnot.
What were some of your tasks and things you had to do during the Battle of the Bulge?
I stuck with the colonel a lot, and I didn't do really much heavy work because being 18 years old, and they put me on a little bit of duty like counting, building, lumber and stuff like that when we came back from the front, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. But then when we went up there, we were up there for quite a while.
Yeah. What, as a young 18-year-old kid, to see it like a fellow GI or dead GI or dead soldiers, you know, did that kind of educate you on sacrifice?
Yeah. Well, when we went to Buchenwald, that's when it really bothered me.
Yeah. So, do you remember? Did you have any memories of crossing the Rhine River after?
Oh yeah. Tell
me about
it. We crossed the Rhine River in these platoon boats. These boats that they made. We put together.
Yep.
And we made the biggest bridge that they ever seen to cross, so Patton could cross the bridge to get with the tanks to get on the other side.
Did you guys building that bridge? Were you guys taking any fire?
No, because more or less they were further. The Germans were further in. You know what I mean? When we were building.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we had plenty of guards out there to keep the Germans away. But they would try to bomb that bridge, you know what I mean? But we built a few bridges.
Between Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge, was there any time that you had a close call yourself of getting killed?
Yeah, I was in a town called Marigny. And we were going up to the front, and all of a sudden, the planes were coming over, and they dropped the bombs where we were. So I dived into a foxhole, and a lieutenant or something dived on me. But there was an MP near me, but he didn't get in the foxhole long enough because he got hit. But that friendly fire was crazy.
Did you lose any personal friends during the war?
Oh, yeah, a lot of good friends.
Anyone in particular you remember?
We tried not to get close to each other. You know, I had a couple of buddies who would really help me a lot. They would we would go on a lot of 20-mile hikes, and me being 130 pounds or something, 40 pounds, they would help me with the gas mask and the full power packs. We used to carry a lot of stuff with us, you know.
Yeah. And those guys end up getting killed overseas, huh?
Oh yeah.
Are some of them buried over there, or are they buried back here?
Well, no, a lot of them are. A lot of them are buried in Normandy. You know, there's a cemetery up there.
Yeah.
A lot of them are.
Luxembourg.
Luxembourg, yeah.
And in some other places in France and Belgium, the Ardennes Cemetery.
That in Bouillon, that castle that my buddy and I spent a lot of time in there because what the devil was I going to say?
So the castle you're talking about is in Belgium or Germany?
No, it's in Belgium.
Okay.
Beautiful castle. So my buddy and I slept up there. So
I'm trying to think. I'll have to look at it on a map. I've seen a few castles over there. One was in, I think one was in Houffalize, a location around that area, but who knows. So, crossing the Rhine River, you eventually enter Germany.
right.
I hear stories on how the areas were leveled. Like parking lots, you know?
Everything, all the houses were flattened. Like Cologne was flattened. Took them years and years to build it.
Did you see that big famous church in Cologne, the big steeple there?
I don't know. I think it's down. It was down when we got there because there was many buildings.
Did you have any experience running into mines yourself?
Oh, we knew where they were, you know, so we were careful.
Now, what do you do? How do you mark them so people don't step on them?
Yeah, we marked them, yeah. But I didn't do any of that stuff. But I knew where the mines are because the fellas in front of me, they were marking them, and so we knew where they were, you know.
So tell me about coming up to this concentration camp and such. How was it somebody that came and told you and the colonel, or?
No, we were just, we knew that it was a, well, let me see what I was saying. We knew it was a concentration camp, but we didn't expect what we saw.
Did you smell it before you?
Oh, raw meat. And as soon as I get off of that van or truck or whatever, and they opened the doors so we could get in, I could see the fellas, nothing but skin. And then you could smell the ovens because they would burn, the Germans would burn them alive. They would take all the rings off and everything that they had, and then they would put them in these trucks and whatnot and gas them. And you see bodies all over. And we were so kind of bullshit at it, we made them dig the holes and bury them.
The soldiers or German civilians?
The German civilians would bury them, you know.
Did you give any food to any of the...
No, we couldn't because they haven't eaten for so long. What happened to their bodies, they said. So we
Did you see kids there too?
Oh yeah, you see everybody, little kids, everybody. And they put them in these carts and gas them, you know what I mean?
Did you know why these people were being held captive?
Because they hated the Jews.
No, I was wondering, did you know that they were Jewish from the get-go, getting there? Is that what they announced themselves as?
Oh, we know that they were most all of them were Jews.
Yeah.
And they were all marked. And you could tell them that they weren't Jews because all the Jews were marked, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, and you should see the ovens. Oh, brother. Yeah.
I think the hardest part, for something that I would have came across, is the children. You know.
Yeah. Well, you would see plenty of kids.
Were the kids just as skinny as the adults?
No, they didn't have to eat down there. God, but gee, God, I gave, when they gave us our GE packs, we would have a carton of cigarettes, a pack of cigarettes with chocolate bars and the whole bit. And I would give all my candy and stuff to the little kids. They were crazy, you know.
Mm. What? So who was responsible of going to retrieve the German civilians from the neighborhood and coming to make them bury the bodies? Was that something you did, or did?
No, the higher uppers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the German civilians, did they claim they didn't know?
Oh, of course they knew. They got a big kick out of killing the Jews. They hated the Jews. On account of Hitler. Hitler made them Jews. And the German kids, those were kids we were afraid of. Little kids.
The German kids, yeah. They were radicalized, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. The Hitler Youth?
Pretty tough, the kids.
But the German guards in Buchenwald were long gone when you guys got there, right?
When we got there, I think the Russians were there, and they left just when we got there.
Did you take home any souvenirs from the war?
They stole them from me.
Yeah.
I had a nice Luger. They took the Luger.
Who stole it from you?
When I sent it home in a package, somebody opened the package and got it. But I took a French revolver home. But no, I had a beautiful Luger. But
yeah.
So
for years after the war, you had dreams about Buchenwald.
Oh, I had PTSD. Rough memory. I would.
Did you ever go back to Germany and see the camps? Were they in the
No, but Marie and I went to Normandy. And
Did you ever go to the Holocaust Museum in D.C., Washington D.C.?
When the Washington monument, we were the first ones in there.
Great.
Because I belonged to a club down in Whitman, and 32 of us went down and spent 3 or 4 days there. Beautiful place. Beautiful.
What do you want to say to finish up? Were you a proud member of the 296th Engineers?
What do you mean proud?
Were you very proud to be a member?
Oh,
yeah.
That was a good outfit. Beautiful. Yeah.
All right, I think that's good.
Yeah, I can give you a few things about my brother that I'm very, very proud
Tell me
of.
what was your brother's name?
Yober, but they call him Bert. It's Y-O-B-E-R, but they took the Y-O out and just used the last four, Bert. So everybody calls him Bert.
And he served with the Thunderbird Division.
45th Division.
Mm-hmm.
And they landed in Africa. Then they came up through Sicily. And we just missed him because they were coming up from Sicily and we were up in Normandy. And he was he had a couple of toughs with the big boys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
they kind of got at him, you know, because my brother was a gun-ho. He wasn't afraid of nothing. And and he would always fight with somebody.
Yeah.
My brother was rough. And they
landed, they fought in Italy, then they went in Anzio.
Anzio was tough.
Was he wounded there?
No, he was, I think he was in Italy.
In Italy?
Yeah, he was, let me see how
Did
that...
he go to he went to France with them too, right?
Yep, he come up.
Southern France, Marseille.
Right, and I was in Normandy, coming down by Paris.
Yeah.
When he was coming up.
And where was he shot when he lost his eye?
I don't know what town it was, but he was coming up, and he became a let me see, what do they call these fellas that go number scouts?
Yep.
And he says, okay, he says, I'll be a scout, but I'll only be a scout the first one. I don't want to be the second one. But they'll always leave the first scout go by, and they'll always kill the seconds, because if they kill the first one, everybody will scatter it, you know. But anyway, he was going up in front, and he saw a lot of leaves moving around, and he said, what the heck is moving? So he creeped in, and he moved the leaf, and he caught either nine or seven Germans in there, and got rid of those guys. And as he was coming up, he got back of a tank, and they shot the tank, and the bullet ricocheted and got him in the eye.
Wow.
And he lost his eye and his cheek.
You gotta watch, there's a new show on Netflix. Have you heard of Netflix?
Yeah.
It's called The Liberator. It's about your brother's division.
For the 45th, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 7 episodes. It's almost like a cartoon. It's not a cartoon, but it's the way they did the graphics is kind of cartoonish, because they had to stop filming because of COVID and stuff. So they finished it off as a drawing. So you're watching an animated drawing, but with real actors.
Kilroy. I got the book. I got two books on that, Kilroy.
Yeah, it's almost like Kilroy, that kind of stuff. But if you have Netflix, ask someone to let you watch The Liberator. It's all about the 45th Division through Italy into France. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this book here that was given to me for a present,